It was first introduced in the Parliament 27 years ago, but the Women's Reservation Bill is still pending in the Lok Sabha. Now there's buzz that the Modi government is likely to introduce the bill during the special session of Parliament, which is scheduled to be held between September 18th and September 22nd. If the bill passes, it will be historic. So what is the Women's Reservation Bill all about? Why is it important? And why has it had such a difficult journey in Parliament? Let me explain. The Women's Reservation Bill proposes to reserve 33% or one-third of all seats in the Lok Sabha and all state legislative assemblies for women. Out of this, one-third will be reserved for women from scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Although women make up nearly 50% of the electorate in India, the proportion of women in parliament and state assemblies is dismal. According to the official data, as of December 2022, the share of women in the Lok Sabha was nearly 15%, while in the Rajya Sabha, it was just over 14%. This is far lower than the global average of around 26% of women in national parliaments. One study shows that out of 190 countries, India ranks 142nd when it comes to women in parliament. Countries like Pakistan, Nepal, and Bangladesh rank higher. And this is because several countries have acknowledged the underrepresentation of women in politics and come up with voluntary quotas or minimum reservation. And yes, our neighbors Pakistan, Nepal, and Bangladesh have reserved parliamentary seats for women. India's state legislative assemblies fare no better when it comes to women's representation, with Chhattisgarh having the highest at 14%. 19 states have less than 10% lawmakers, and this includes the 5 southern states: Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Telangana. So why is women's representation in India's electoral politics so low? Family restrictions, financial constraints, societal prejudices, sexism, and patriarchy are just few of the challenges women face to enter politics. Over the years, a number of myths have been perpetuated over why women aren't fielded by political parties. One is that women are essentially dummies for their husbands or fathers. As Tara Krishnaswamy points out in this article for the News Minute, if sons and nephews are proxies or dynasts, then wives and daughters are the same. It can't be legacy and dynasty for men and puppets or dummies for women. Another excuse that is often given is that women lack winnability. As Tara Krishnaswamy writes, since 1952, women have won at a greater rate than men at every single Lok Sabha election. These are the hard facts. So the question is, what has taken India so long to pass the Women's Reservation Bill? Well, it's not for lack of trying. The bill was first introduced by the Deve Gowda-led United Front government in 1996, but the bill failed to get the approval of the Lok Sabha. Since then, successive governments, including the NDA under Atal Bihari Vajpayee and the UPA under Manmohan Singh, have tried to pass the bill. But every time the bill has come up, there's been pandemonium in the House. There's been heckling, there have been objectionable comments made against women, and the physical copy of the bill has even been snatched by MPs and torn to pieces. Things have gotten so heated that parliamentarians have engaged in physical scuffles. In fact, in 2008, when the bill was introduced in the Rajya Sabha by the then UPA-1 government, Congress parliamentarians, including women ministers, had to guard the then Law Minister H.R. Bharadwaj from SP MPs who were trying to snatch the bill. In March 2010, the bill was finally passed in the Rajya Sabha with an overwhelming majority. The bill then had to be passed by the Lok Sabha and ratified by half of the state assemblies. But the bill never came up in the Lok Sabha and ended up lapsing when the 15th Lok Sabha was dissolved. But here's the thing, since the bill was passed in the Rajya Sabha and the upper house can never be dissolved, the 2010 version of the bill can be reintroduced in the Lok Sabha by any government at any time. So why has no government taken up the bill's passage in the Lok Sabha in all this time? For one, there are still many who oppose it. Parties like the RJD and SP, which have been opposing the bill since the 1990s, are demanding caste and community quotas within reservation. Then there are the critics who say that women will not be seen as competing on merit. Reservation, they argue, would only serve to perpetuate inequality towards women. Then there are others who argue that reservation for women would limit voters' choices. But perhaps the biggest factor is that men are unwilling to give up or share power. So why does women's representation matter? 1. Diversity. More women in electoral politics will bring more diversity to policies and decision making. 2. More participation of women and increased responsiveness to their issues. There is evidence that the participation of women at village council meetings increased when there was a woman panchayat leader. This is according to a 2010 study which looked at the effects of the 33% quota for women in local bodies. The same study showed that panchayats reserved for women leaders were more responsive to women's concerns. This meant that they invested more in drinking water, infrastructure, sanitation, roads, school repair, health center repair, and irrigation facilities. 3. Women perform better and are less corrupt. A 2018 paper found that there was significantly higher growth in economic activities in constituencies that elect women compared to their male counterparts. What's more, the same study found that women legislators are less likely to be criminal and corrupt and are less vulnerable to political opportunism. So, will the Modi government be successful in passing the Women's Reservation Bill in the Lok Sabha? With its absolute majority in the lower house, the BJP won't have a hard time in passing the bill. Besides, several opposition parties, including the Congress, have promised to support it. The only question is whether the bill will be introduced and passed in the special session. If it is, it will truly be a momentous moment for Indian politics. That's all from me for this week, but before I go, a quick reminder to support our journalism. You can do so by becoming a member. Also subscribe to our YouTube channels. And as always, if you like this video, hit the like button and share this video with your friends.